The Lady of the Dunes case has haunted investigators and captivated the public for decades. It began in the summer of 1974 in Provincetown, Massachusetts, a picturesque town on Cape Cod. The discovery of a woman's body on the sand dunes of Race Point Beach would become a mystery that would take nearly 50 years to solve. The victim, a young woman with long auburn hair, was found brutally murdered. Her identity remained a mystery, leaving investigators with few clues to work with. The case quickly captured the attention of the media and the public. The unknown woman, dubbed the Lady of the Dunes, became a haunting figure. Despite numerous efforts to identify her and find her killer, the case remained cold. The passage of time only deepened the mystery. Years turned into decades, and still, the Lady of the Dunes remained nameless. Theories abounded, but none could be definitively proven. Some speculated that she was a runaway, while others believed she may have been involved with organized crime. The lack of answers only fueled the public's fascination with the case. It became a staple of true crime documentaries and podcasts, each seeking to shed light on the mystery. The mystery endured, becoming a haunting reminder of the brutality of the crime and the elusive nature of truth. It seemed that the Lady of the Dunes might forever remain an enigma. However, the advent of new technology offered a glimmer of hope. The development of investigative genealogy, a groundbreaking forensic technique, would ultimately provide the key to unlocking the past. On a sunny afternoon in July 1974, a young girl stumbled upon a horrifying scene. While walking her dog along the sandy expanse of Race Point Beach, she discovered the partially buried body of a woman. Police were immediately called to the scene, and the investigation into the death of the unidentified woman began. The woman's body was found lying on a beach towel, her head resting on a pair of Wrangler jeans and a blue bandana. She had been brutally murdered. Her hands had been severed, likely to prevent identification through fingerprints. Her head was nearly severed from her body and her teeth were missing, making dental records useless. Investigators meticulously combed the crime scene for any trace of evidence. They searched for fibers, footprints, or any other clue that might lead them to the killer. Despite their efforts, the investigation was hampered by a lack of identifiable information. The woman carried no identification, and the brutal nature of the crime left few clues behind. The lack of evidence only deepened the mystery surrounding the case. With no way to identify the victim, investigators were left with more questions than answers. Who was this woman, and how did she end up dead on a secluded beach? The mystery of the Lady of the Dunes had begun. For decades, the Lady of the Dunes' true identity remained a mystery. However, the advent of investigative genealogy brought renewed hope to the case. This revolutionary technique combines DNA analysis with traditional genealogical research to identify unknown individuals. It was a long shot, but investigators hoped it might be the key to unlocking the past. In 2019, the FBI exhumed the Lady of the Dunes' body and extracted a DNA sample. The sample was sent to a specialized lab for analysis and uploaded to genealogical databases. The painstaking process of building a family tree began, tracing the victim's ancestry back generations. Through meticulous research and analysis, investigators were able to narrow down the list of potential relatives. Finally, in 2022, a breakthrough came. Investigators identified a potential match. The DNA evidence pointed to a woman named Ruth Marie Terry, a Tennessee native who had disappeared in the early 1970s. Further investigation revealed that Terry had lived a transient life, moving frequently and often using aliases. This made it difficult to track her movements or determine her whereabouts in the years leading up to her death. The identification of Ruth Marie Terry as the Lady of the Dunes was a major breakthrough in the case. It finally gave a name and a story to the woman who had been a mystery for so long. However, the investigation was far from over. The next step was to determine who was responsible for her brutal murder. Investigators shifted their focus to identifying Terry's killer. With renewed determination, investigators delved into Terry's past, tracing her movements and relationships. They discovered that Terry had married a man named Guy Rockwell Moldavan in 1974. The timing of their marriage, just months before Terry's murder, raised red flags for investigators. Moldavan, a career criminal with a history of violence, quickly became the prime suspect. However, Moldavan had died in 2002, long before Terry's body was identified. Despite his death, investigators continued to build their case against him. They uncovered evidence linking Moldavan to the Provincetown area at the time of Terry's murder. They also discovered that Moldavan had a history of violence against women. He had been a suspect in the disappearance of his previous wife, who vanished in Seattle in the 1960s. Although Moldavan could never be brought to justice, the identification of both victim and perpetrator brought a sense of closure to the case. The Lady of the Dunes finally had her name back, and her killer had been identified. The case serves as a testament to the power of DNA technology and the unwavering dedication of those who seek justice for victims of violent crimes.